afternoon. I am going to be reading you a story today. My name is Megan, and I just wanted to remind you that possibility is most often, rooted in imagination. And today's book is a reminder of that, as many of you are at home with your families during a time that can feel impossible. I just want to remind you that, again, possibility is rooted in imagination, and we will all get through this together. So today's book is called The Man Who Walked Between the Towers. It is by Mordecai Gerstein. Once there were two towers side by side. They were each 1/4 of a mile high, 1,340 feet to be exact, the tallest buildings in New York City. A young man saw them rise into the sky. He was a street performer. He rode a unicycle, he juggled balls and fiery torches. See him juggling and unicycling. But most of all, he loved to walk and dance on a rope he tied between two trees. He looked not at the towers, but at a space between them and thought, what a wonderful place to stretch a rope, a wire on which to walk. Once the idea came to him, he knew he had to do it. If he saw 3 balls, he had to juggle. If he saw 2 towers, he had to walk. That's how he was. Hadn't he danced on a wire between the steeples of Notre Dame Cathedral above his amazed home city, Paris? Why not here, between these towers? Of course he knew that, as in Paris, the police and the owners of the towers would never allow it. You must be crazy, they would say. You'd fall for sure. And so Philippe, that was the young man's name, began a plan to do it secretly. The buildings are not quite finished, he thought. Maybe if I dressed as a construction worker. Early on an August evening, he and a friend entered the South Tower. They got a 440-pound reel of cable and other equipment into the elevator, took it to the unfinished top 10 floors, and waited till nightfall when everyone had gone to sleep. Then they carried everything up 180 stairs to the rooftop. See, they're carrying a box with all of the equipment up all of those stairs. And here they are at the top of the tower. At midnight, on the other tower's roof, 2 more friends tied a thin, strong line to an arrow and shot it 140 feet away. It missed and landed on a ledge 15 feet below the roof. Bad luck, thought Philippe. See, here's them shooting the arrow, and it missed. He crawled down to the ledge over the sparkling city and got the arrow. Wow. Look at how far he is above the city. To its line, he tied a stronger line, which his friends pulled back to their tower. To his end of the stronger line, Philippe tied the cable on which he would walk. It was 5/8 of an inch thick. His friends pulled the cable over to their tower, but it was so heavy that it slipped from Philippe's grip. The cable's middle plummeted toward the street, pulling the friends on the other tower to the very edge. Oh my goodness. Wow, it dipped all the way down. They're so close to the edge. Philippe, just in time, secured his end. It took 3 hours to pull the cable back up. Frantically, as the stars faded, they tightened it between the 2 towers. It was past dawn when the sun rose, before they were ready. Philippe put on his black shirt and tights. He picked up his 28-foot balancing pole. See this pole here? All his life he had worked to be here. He had worked in this possibility to do this. As the rising sun lit up the towers, out he stepped onto the wire. Wow. There is Philippe above New York City. All of the way. Walking on the tightrope. Out to the very middle he walked, as if he were walking on the air itself. Woo! Speaking of air. Many winds whirled up from between the towers, and he swayed with them. He could feel the towers breathing. He was not afraid. He felt alone and happy and absolutely free. See him up there with the birds? A woman coming from the subway might have been the first to see him. "Look," she said, "someone's walking on a wire between the towers." Look what she saw. She was so surprised. Everyone stopped and looked up. They gasped and stared. It was astonishing. It was terrifying and beautiful. A quarter of a mile up in the sky, someone was dancing. Police saw it too. Officers rushed to the roofs of the towers. "You're under arrest," they shouted through bullhorns. Philippe turned and walked the other way. Who would come and get him? For almost an hour, back and forth, he walked, he danced, he ran, and knelt in a salute upon the wire. He even lay down to rest. The city and harbor spread beneath him. The sky surrounded him. Seagulls flew over and under. As long as he stayed on the wire, he was free. When Philippe felt completely satisfied, he walked back to the roof and held out his wrists for the handcuffs. They brought him to court. The judge sentenced him to perform in the park for the children of the city. That's a very friendly judge. This he did happily, though during his performance, some boys playing on his wire jerked it and Philippe fell. But he caught himself. Now the towers are gone. But in memory, as if imprinted on the sky, the towers are still there. And part of that memory is the joyful morning, August 7th, 1974, when Philippe Petit walked between them in the air. Now, some of you might be old enough and some of you might be too young to remember these two towers that disappeared in 2001, but their memory is still there. And people who remember them in their imagination. And they make them work their way into books and stories. So I hope you enjoyed that story this afternoon, and I hope you're having a wonderful time with your family. Have a great day.